Senator Romney, thank you for
so
joining
much.
us.
It's impressive to listen to Senator Manchin. He said a lot. I hope we listened carefully to what he had to say, with which I fully agree.
Social Security cuts, no commission to cut Social Security.
How about to raise taxes? 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 How about to raise taxes for Social Security? You against that too?
Is he on your staff? What staff are you on?
I think our gentleman, I think the gentleman will be, I got it.
No Social Security cuts. We don't need a smoky back room to cut Social Security benefits. No.
We'll just suspend, folks.
Hi,
Hi, Senator. How are you?
he knows you.
He shows up regularly.
Yeah.
Cut benefits, tax deals for wealthy.
Well, let's just say goodbye to our friend who wants to do nothing and leave Social Security beneficiaries with a 20% cut as a result of our inaction.
May I just interject, Mr.
Please.
Chairman? Senator Romney, it must be refreshing to know that that you still animate some folks on the left as well. So
Exactly right.
it must be reassuring for you.
Exactly right. Well, I'm actually here to announce our candidacy for.
Senator Romney, thank you for your
Thank you,
patience.
Mr. Chairman, ranking member. Appreciate the chance to be
Continue.
with you and the members of this committee. Let me underscore what Senator Manchin has said about the urgency of us addressing our shortfall, our fiscal crisis. I'm going to start with 3 reasons that this is something we need to do and do now. One relates to interest. And I'm going to get there by showing you, as a percentage of the economy, what's happened to defense spending, which is the solid line, and domestic discretionary spending, which is the yellow line, and where the CBO projects them to go over time. As you'll note, our spending on discretionary items has come down, both for the military as a percentage of the GDP, both for the military and for the discretionary domestic spending. But because of baby boomers, what's going to happen on Medicare and Social Security is a very different pattern. Social Security is the orange line there, and Medicare is the blue line. You'll see that Medicare over the next, by the way, this first dotted line is current, 2023. The dotted line over here is 2030, which would be 6 years from now, the end of the next group of senators' term. So as you'll see, the pretty dramatic increase, and you'll also note that we haven't yet layered on interest. If we now turn to adding the interest line, here is the interest line. The red line is interest, and you'll note that as of 2030, only 6 years from now, interest expense for the federal government will exceed either defense spending or domestic discretionary spending. That's where we're headed. So we're going to have to do massively awful things, either in defense or domestic spending. This is a huge increase. That's one reason we need to move soon. So unless we fix the fiscal calamity, we're no longer going to be able to have a military leadership in the world, and we would have major consequences for our safety and our national security. There's a second reason. Our mounting debt is placing us in the same hazardous category as Greece and Italy. This shows government debt, gross debt, and by the way, debt held by the public, as a percentage of GDP out through 2028. Ours is the red line. Here's Greece, Italy, Portugal, Ireland, Spain. Notice they're all getting better. We're the one getting worse. And we are now in a category as of 2028 where we're going to have more debt as a percentage of our GDP than Italy. And remember what Greece and Italy and the others went through. This is the trajectory we're on unless we take action soon. Simpson-Bowles told us about this crisis, but it's already here. And our legislation has a built-in path to avoid some of the challenges that were associated with the Simpson-Bowles failure to actually reach a conclusion. Let me just mention what they are. First of all, 4 corners appoint the members of this commission. 3 will be from members, elected members, and then 1 will be an expert, but the expert will not be voting. Only members will be voting on the commission's recommendations. The objective of the commission is to stabilize debt as a share of the GDP. It doesn't talk about any particular program. It just says, let's get our debt as a percentage of the GDP at a stable level. And finally, all spending is being considered and everything's on the table. We don't say this program has to be added, that program. No, it's everything is on the table. And finally, if there's a bipartisan consensus, if we have Republicans and Democrats on this commission that vote together on a bipartisan basis to proceed, then there is a privileged process to take the legislation to the floor and to vote on it in the House and the Senate. In the Senate, by the way, the 20-vote rule would apply. So it's the same numbers required in order for it to become law. And of course, the president would then be given the opportunity to sign it. If we don't fix this mess that our country is in, why, it's hard for me to imagine a circumstance where America is able to continue to lead the world. If we're spending more on interest than we're spending on defense, then how in the world are we going to keep up with China, which is already spending a lot more on procurement than we are today? So this is a decision we have. We're either going to be known as a generation that took on tough challenges and solved them, or one that didn't. We all lived in the shadow of the greatest generation. If we don't fix this problem, we're going to be known as the worst generation. Our children, our grandchildren depend on us taking action, and everything's on the table. And I'll just mention one thing, and that is when Bill Clinton was president, he looked to see what Republicans and Democrats could do together. Each came together and found an equal amount of tax increases, revenue increases, and spending cuts, and got a deal done and got us on track and actually got a balanced budget. This is something we can do, but only if we do it on a bipartisan basis. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Ranking Member.
I think both